where to go, where to go, where to go, where to go, where to go.
I did a month in solitary in Atlanta Federal Penitentiary, which is one of my connections with Bradley Manning, which I spoke about at Fort Meade. Not a lot of people have done time in solitary confinement in federal custody, so I had a lot of sympathy, and I understood that what Bradley Manning went through was much worse than anything I did, but I know how hard it is, and I had ultimate respect for Manning. And the other, connection I had was, at one point in time I had a top secret clearance when I was in the Navy, stationed in the military dictatorship in Greece. And if there had been a WikiLeaks back then, so, I handled a lot of message traffic, which is part of your job as an air traffic controller. And I saw a lot of stuff coming out that, documented that the U.S. government was fully aware of what the dictatorship was doing to its own people there. And if there had been a WikiLeaks, I might have been tempted to leak all that information out like Bradley Manning did. So, that's some of the...
So you kind of saw yourself in Bradley Manning then?
A lot, more than most people, because like I say, not many people have had a top secret clearance in the military, seen stuff that they thought was war crimes, and also have done time in solitary confinement. That's one thing that, immediately, I was one of the first persons which you actually came to organize a support protest for Bradley Manning here in New York City.
Yeah, I still maintain that he's a political prisoner.
Yeah. I maintain that he deserves, rather than Obama, the Nobel Peace Prize. And in reality, under international law, a soldier is obligated to not cover up war crimes.
Right.
And Bradley Manning is the only one that didn't cover up war crimes. Everybody else, all the way up to Obama, did cover them up. And so they should all be prosecuted, and Bradley Manning ought to be given like the Medal of Honor for doing what he did. And that's really true. If things were right and just, that's what would happen. But it isn't going to happen. Right now, I'm kind of, I always think about them every day, but a number of my friends are doing stretches in prison for political activity. Bradley Manning isn't a friend, but he's one of them. Barrett Brown is now facing almost 100 years for his connection to Anonymous.
Essentially for just putting up a link on our website.
Yeah, putting up a link to information that other people, including the media, had already linked up to.
Right.
So, he's in. My friend Lynn Stewart is in jail because of what she had done. I mean, she represented like armed revolutionaries. She was the advocate of the Black Liberation Army and a great lawyer. She represented Larry Davis along with Stanley Cohen and Bill Kunstler. She's in prison.
Because she was a thorn in the side, essentially.
But yes, exactly right. And because she felt that even though they had told her she was restricted on how she could deal with her client in federal prison, she didn't feel that those were right, that she had to abide by the restrictions, so she did it, Unfortunately, it backfired and they put her in prison. And then back to here, the guy that really kept this building together and was one of the people responsible for me being able to stay in New York was Dana Beale. He started this museum. He was arrested for transporting medical marijuana back to New York City, and he's in prison now. It's just every day I think about it, and it makes me very sad that these people that I know and have been big parts of my life are in jail right now. And I always think, like, how much longer is it going to be before they try to lock me up? Although they did lock me up at the Democratic National Convention in Charlotte for 36 hours.
Is that been dismissed or?
Yeah, I jumped over a line of police bicycles because I was trying to get close enough to the delegates so I could yell at them about the treatment of veterans in this country.
You broke the free speech zone?
We weren't going in the free speech zone anyway. I led a march with about 200 people trying to get to where the delegates are, and they blocked us a long way away from
Well, the whole idea of the
convention,
free
you know.
speech zone seems bizarre. So that there's
It's-
areas that are, so there are zones for free speech,
Well-
and there are zones that, when you're outside of that zone, do you
Zones
give
you
up
can-
your right
you
for
can-
free speech?
You can say all you want to, but nobody's going to hear what you have to say. You know, and it's all fenced off like a prison cage. You know. Fortunately for me, my judge that I went to trial down in Charlotte over it. The judge, when the prosecutor was saying, well, we were trying to get this march, which was an illegal march, to go to the free speech zone, the judge started rolling his eyes, you know, and I'm going, yeah, hey, maybe I got something going here. Because every time they'd say free speech zone, the judge would give a look like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Ain't no, you know, you're not going to even bullshit me on this, you know. So,
It's Orwellian, isn't it?
yeah, extremely. It's a very smart move. Well, it's actually, and I'll go into quickly the story. In a way, this group here is responsible for the development of that,
Right.
the free speech zones, by organizing protests at all the conventions. You know, but what happened was they wrote these laws in Charlotte really quickly in order to get ready for the convention, and the law stated that if you cross a police line, you have to have intent to destroy property, attack police, or commit some kind of a criminal activity. It was pretty clear. In fact, even the cops admitted that I told them the reason I was jumping the police line was that I wanted to go and yell at the delegates. So when the thing, and it was a bench trial with just a judge, you know.
But how is it that the law states that if you're jumping a police line, your intent is to X, Y, and Z?
No. They said you had to have intent. In other words, it turned out that jumping the police line wasn't illegal because my intent was to use my First Amendment rights. If I had jumped the police line and knocked a cop out, then I would have violated the law.
Okay.
You understand? So the judge said, well, since you admit and Mr. Penley says that his only intent was to yell at people, his jumping the police line under this law is not illegal, so I have to find him not guilty. But in the meantime, I spent, 36 hours in solitary confinement in Charlotte, and I actually thought I was getting Guantanamo'd because after I was arrested, I was put in a very small solitary cell, and they took everyone else that was arrested with me out and arraigned them, but they didn't take me out and arraign me. And then I was only getting out 3 times a day to eat. When I got out the next day to eat, I asked the guard, like, how come everybody else got arraigned but me? And they go, nah, don't worry about it. They're going to get around to you. And I'm sitting in there. I haven't had any conversation with anybody outside of there. And I'm going, man, I'm getting ready to be put in an orange jumpsuit, shipped down to Guantanamo. I was really started freaking out about it, But Obama is doing assassinations of American citizens, which I think is a real escalation in what presidents can do. He also put an executive order into place called NDAA, which says American citizens can be detained and taken to Guantanamo with no due process of law and no access to the courts. Now, people may think, oh, Obama's not a bad guy. He's not going to overstep the boundary. But a lot of dead kids in Pakistan would, if they weren't alive now, would kind of say, I don't believe that. The drone strikes not only got people that they had targeted, but killed a lot of civilians.
We lived there.
That down the road, a future president might start to do drone strikes on American citizens inside the country. Where is this going? As time goes by, the 1% that control most of the wealth in this country have controlled more and more. If you look at statistics, over the years, they've concentrated the wealth in their hands a lot more over the years than ever before. And then how are we going to change it? We tried with sitting down on the street at Occupy Wall Street. But I think that at some point, people got to realize that if they want their families to survive, they're going to have to go further with it. And I'm not going to specifically say what I'm thinking about here, but I'll just give you an example. Now, I've been to veterans hospitals all around the country, and I talked to the vets. The vets have, for the most part, have absolutely no faith in the government. They've all heavily armed themselves and are waiting for the government to come knock down their door to take away their guns, and they're not going to give them up without a fight. And these are people that the U.S. military trained themselves. So a large percentage of veterans in this country have absolutely no faith in the government. They really hate the Fed, the Federal Reserve. It's almost 100% people will bring up how they think the Federal Reserve is a big scam to keep the wealth concentrated in the hands of the rich people in this country. America's ripe for revolution, and if they want to keep this police state rolling like they have been, and they want to keep making it harder and harder for working class and poor people just to feed their families and survive, they're going to get what they get anywhere, what they got in France. If anybody's seen the play Les Miserables, they're going to see that here too. What they're getting in France, what they're getting in Greece, what they're getting in like a lot of countries where people see they don't have much option for themselves and their families to survive, are going to get out in the streets and start fighting back. And that's going to happen here. I mean, we always said at Occupy Wall Street, we were like Paul Revere, who was writing to make a warning to the people that the bad people are coming, and you better get ready for them, and you better get your powder dry. And we did that, and people heard the warning, so we did that. And we did that on a nonviolent basis, but at this point in time, if they don't heed our warning, and I'm also talking about the people that are running the police state and the 1% that are controlling most of the wealth in the country, if they don't heed that warning, then things are going to get really bad for everybody. And they better be ready for it. I'll be dead, you know, I mean, I don't really got that much time left here on the planet. But I'm happy that I was part of Occupy Wall Street, and I really intimately know the street level Occupy resistors that are left out of Occupy Wall Street, who are blockading pipelines in Texas, climbing up in trees in Pennsylvania, blockading pipelines, getting arrested in Bank of Americas, helping people with Occupy Relief, Occupy Sandy Relief out where people got hit by the hurricane, doing all kinds of projects now. I'm glad that I know them and they know me, and I think that I helped as part of their education about agitation and organizing.
So all you nations are come and listen. The truth is scarce and the politics is twisted. We need a revolution to rip the system. Thousands are starving and the rest are missing. So all you nations are come and listen. The truth is scarce and the politics is